It is one of the busiest cruise ports in the world and a leader among cargo ports here in the U.S. Here to discuss the continuing growth and success of Port Everglades, as well as other issues facing the state, is this hour's newsmaker, Representative George Moraitis Jr. He's a Republican from District 93 in Broward County. Welcome to Newsmakers. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Phil. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start with Port Everglades. In Fort Lauderdale, many people have taken cruises out of Port Everglades. So you see a lot of cargo coming in and out, and there's a lot of expansion work being done there to move for the future. How are you accommodating this growth as the port gets larger?
That's a great question, and it's my top priority because Port Everglades is actually the largest economic engine in our region. It employs directly or indirectly 11,000 people do direct services for the port. It supports over 200,000 jobs in the region, several billion-dollar economic impact. And what's exciting is that the Panama Canal is expanding, and in anticipation of that, ships have gotten larger. And so actually, the ships are too large in some cases, or too heavy and too deep to come into the port. So we are embarking on an ambitious program to deepen and widen the port through cooperation with the Corps of Engineers and, of course, our Port Authority.
And you know, this is a very delicate process because you're having to dig and deepen, and you're also worried about the corals and the natural environment that's underneath as you do this. So this is not something that is an easy task.
No, it's not, and we're very sensitive to the environment and the impact of it. We worked a lot to make sure that we will do the correct mitigation. I think all of the environmental groups in our area are supportive of the concept, as long as we do the right thing and mitigate that by growing more coral in other areas.
Speaking of the environment, you represent parts of Fort Lauderdale Beach. We've seen in recent years, for those of us that live down in South Florida, the erosion that has taken place due to a number of storms, Hurricane Sandy, other things that have passed by. We don't have as much beach as we used to have. I know that's a major concern. It is the driver of tourism in your district. How do you preserve these beaches and prevent them from becoming more eroded?
Well, great question, Phil. And beaches really are an important part of not just our region's economy, but the entire state's economy. Beaches are really how people recognize Florida. It's a major driver for our tourism. We had over 13 million tourists in the last few years to Broward County's beach. Most of the people do visit the beach. What we're doing is, again, the state has been very aggressive in maintaining and doing beach renourishment. I'm excited to say that with Amendment 1, that will make more available funds for the program. And it is important that we maintain a world-class beach.
Amendment 1 is the Land and Conservation Act voted on by Floridians. 3/4 of them said yes to this last year, and now in the legislature, you guys will be implementing how those funds are spent. We talk about some of the beach projects. Obviously, Everglades restoration comes into factor. So this is something you'll be looking at hard this session.
Yes, it's an exciting opportunity. The voters have clearly spoken that they want us to do conservation. We were doing, I think, a very good job of it before. This will certainly put a little more money to it, a little more land acquisition, more projects to make sure that the water coming out of Lake Okeechobee gets properly filtered. And the maintenance of the Everglades is critical for our region's economy and water needs.
Speaking of water needs, this is something that's unavoidable, although not many people in Tallahassee are talking about the climate change issue, sea level rise. And we see that in South Florida, certainly affecting possibly the drinking water supply, the aquifers underneath. Obviously, real estate, you see some houses that are flooded and streets that are flooded now more than they've ever been. How big a concern is that when you see that every day in your community, to bring that up here into Tallahassee to tell state lawmakers?
Well, it's a very big concern. I mean, the fact that the sea level is rising is a fact. What's causing it, how we could stop it, that's really not something we're going to debate. But the fact that we do have to sort of deal with it in the sense of the beach erosion projects, we do have to make sure that our coastal construction is appropriate, that we encourage the right kind of development, that we do shore up the roads. It was a great project a few years ago in the wake of Tropical Storm Sandy. We literally, with the state and the county and the city, basically put large iron sheets 45 foot deep into on the beach side of the road to protect the road from being washed out. So we are having to deal with climate change in this area.
And a lot of the dealing with it is done by local officials. They have to go to the state and ask them, hey, how do we get some help to do this? So this is not just a lone government idea. I mean, you have to go through different layers to try and get help.
Yes, that's correct. Well, the state has a lot of resources. We have a very large work program for the Department of Transportation, and the good news is that those money are available to do these types of important projects.
And what about some other priorities for you this legislative session? What else will you be working on?
Well, one of the things I'm working on is bringing some common sense to the application of the class size amendment, which has been a fantastic success for bringing more funding to our schools, and that was really the goal of the amendment. And we have also done a great job of bringing the class sizes down. But with that, in some districts, they're struggling with a penalty when you don't comply, and the money is actually being redistributed to other parts of the state. We're trying to bring some common sense to that in the application of the penalty and redirecting the resources to the lower performing schools.
State Representative George Moraitis, thanks so much for being here. Good luck this session. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate the time as well.
And he has been this hour's newsmaker from Tallahassee. I'm Phil Latzman, and thank you for watching.